time now. So let's play hockey.
Hello, welcome to the Let's Play Hockey podcast. I'm Brian Zollman, joined with Brian Bonin. We are kingless today. John King is not with us today. He kind of showed us the ropes on how to make this work. And now we're down to a duo. We are at the Cub Content Studio at Pull Tab Sports, and this Let's Play Hockey podcast is presented by Northern Lids, specializing in patch-style custom hand-stitch hats. Northern Lids has a great selection of Minnesota hockey hats from youth teams to the pros. If you're looking for custom hats for your team, look no further than Northern Lids. They'll work with you to show off your team colors with pride and give you a final product your whole team is sure to love. You can visit Northern Lids at www.northernlids.com. I have plenty of Northern Lids hats in my stock. They're quality. They're good stuff.
Nothing like a good lid.
Gotta have
a good lid. Northern Lids.
Northern Lids at the Expo. They go like hotcakes. It's crazy. So today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk a little bit about summer hockey. We're kind of winding down on summer, and what should kids be doing? What have they done? The AAA season is still going. Tryouts are kind of looming in the near future, but I think kids are getting a break right now. Is a break good?
A break is good.
Yeah.
A break is good. An August break is good. You can kind of smell the fall in the air a little bit. I know we've had kind of a weird summer, but you can smell it a little bit in the evening. And before you know it, we're going to be back on the ice. So associations, registration to get ready for next season, and then that high school season. It's not that far off. It comes so quickly. So yeah, a lot of preparation here. I think it's a little bit of a downtime after typically a July skate as teams, but hockey's a year-round deal now.
Every sport is. Is there such thing as too much ice? What do you think? Can you have too much ice?
I mean, the simple answer is yes. You got to be a little bit careful, just mostly because there's years of development here. And I think maybe the most important in all development of any skill, any sport, any activity is that passion that you'd have. And so for someone who loves hockey, for those hockey players that love this sport, we need you to keep loving it. And, a break allows you to miss it, allows that heart to grow a little fonder of something that's you're looking forward to. So that's always been my worry, is if you run from season to season, you're not able to focus, on the end of a season with that group of players, that team. So, getting into the individual stuff that happens in the summers, again, looking forward to the seasons, but a break is really important. I think it also allows you to refocus, and is this really what you want to be doing?
Talk a little bit too about multi-sports. A lot of kids, they're dropping football. They're not, they're dropping baseball. They golf. A lot of kids, hockey players love to golf, which is good. But, I think playing another sport, like you said, allows you to miss hockey a little bit. Also, you're working on different muscle groups, different hand-eye stuff. Really, playing another sport can help you on the ice.
I think that's always been really important. And, hand-eye coordination, all those, the fine-tuning of your muscles, ligaments, things that are actually needed today that maybe weren't needed when you and I were playing. You try to go fast in a straight line. Now you need that fast twitch. So the ability to, cross-train. I think there's a lot of programs out there that are allowing for some of that cross-training. But at the same time, when you're training, that ability to think a different way, to be surrounded with other players or coaches to, force you to think a little differently than your favorite sport, if that, is hockey. And then again, when we get on the ice and someone's asking you to give your best, to give your all out, you're actually giving it. It's pretty easy to, go at 90, 80% when you're on the ice all the time. You're just a little bit tired. And I just don't feel great today, and no, I got tomorrow. When you don't have the tomorrow because you only got a couple days to work on this, I think having that off time is important. And then again, get focused in on golf or tennis or another sport, soccer. Use your feet, where you start to realize there's a competition there. There's another set of teammates who, are really liking that sport instead of, your main sport if it's hockey. So I think the cross training is super important.
And a little bit about unstructured play. I was at the Herb Brooks Foundation golf tournament yesterday, and, Rob McClanahan gave a great talk about how things have changed from, when he grew up and how he was coached, and now he's a head coach for Blake High School, and he has to coach differently than how he was coached. Otherwise, he would be fired pretty fast. Herb Brooks probably couldn't be a coach today, which is kind of sad, isn't it? But we, going back, and I made the comment yesterday, I presented an award, how we grew up more unstructured, outdoor rink, stick handling in the garage, whatever. Nowadays, it seems like there's always a coach. There's a color-coded schedule that mom has. It's got to be at this rink at this time. Tell me a little bit about when you grew up, your unstructured play, and how that helped you develop as a hockey player.
Yeah, unstructured, just that ability to have that creativity, think through ideas you've been dreaming about, watching somebody else do something, and then you have that ability to try it. And I always thought that happened in street hockey or a little boot hockey as you're waiting for the season to start. There'd be some snow on the ground, and you could just jump out into the street and grab that neighborhood group of buddies. And, again, they weren't all hockey players. So they'd be trying different things, trying to emulate the players around them that they thought were pretty good at that sport. I mean, I did the same thing with baseball or football too. Maybe wasn't as good at it, but I'm looking at the other players and wanting to compete. So, then you try that stuff when you got on the ice. And right now, yes, we're doing that. But yeah, forcing the, drive time, wait around time, someone's coordinating for you. We did it. I believe we did it because we wanted to as kids. You were kind of forced. I mean, I'd have to call you and say, Brian, we got to meet out in the street. Let's go hang out. Now it's forced. So it's a little bit harder sometimes to figure out, are the kids really, that into it, that interested? And they should be interested in a lot of things, as they're growing here from age 6 to 16. Lots going to happen there. And we still get a lot of great stories of multi-sport athletes. And, they pick one sport in the end. But they were good at many different sports. And so thank goodness, because how do you know you're not going to be a great baseball player, volleyball player, versus hockey, just because you love it. And that's part of the maturity too. So the beauty of getting out and just hanging out with your friends or getting some of that unstructured time. I'm hopeful that that's available through most of these camps, clinics, those who are providing them, to just give that free time. And on the ice, off the ice, either's fine.
Yeah. I remember I wrecked a couple garage doors. I'm sure you did too, especially the back drywall. Put some holes in that. My dad wasn't too happy back in the day. But I know kids shoot pucks off the ice quite a bit these days. Let's talk a little bit about ice time. How important is ice time? Skating is the foundation for development, right? I mean, if you can't skate, you're not going to be a good hockey player. You got to be able to skate. Ice time. How much during the summer, in your opinion, a camp here, a clinic there, a couple times a week? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'd say, because you want to balance that, again, that drive and skating, the necessity in hockey. So it makes it such a beautiful game, but you got to learn how to skate. So, enough time during the season, association hockey, for the most part, in Minnesota, where you're getting several months of skating. So the off season, and again, each year as you're developing, you got to relearn this because you're growing. So again, a balance of, you got to get on the ice, a little bit, but most programs having something in the summer. I think just touching the ice a little bit is good. Maybe you pick up a couple things from a new coach, and then take that back into the season again, where you get several months. So maybe it ramps up a little more, a little more as you get older, because you do have to work on that skating, but you're kind of always having to work on it. So in my opinion, you don't necessarily ever fall really far behind, because you always got another season to go after. And at some point you can really, kick it in high gear and go after it for several weeks in the summer. And I think really get better at your skating. So, but you got to keep up with the players that are going all the time. And so there's high demand out there, and there's truly nothing like being on the ice, so yeah, rollerblading could help, or, cross training, ride a bike or running, but it's not the same. Skating is it's still one of the most fascinating things, I think, when you break down the fact that, a Connor McDavid still cannot get to a certain point where he's in such great shape that he can skate on the ice for, full speed for 45 seconds or a minute, and have that advantage over another player. It's all the great players. I mean, they go out on the ice, they get like 20 seconds. So it's the recovery piece. Mm-hmm. It's so unique about skating. So there's a time there where I think you got to put a little extra effort in, and get on the ice. But I like to see these younger kids get an opportunity to try some other activities. Just make sure you're not limiting yourself. Right.
And you talk about soccer and other sports that require footwork. That can only help, right, when it comes to playing hockey.
Yeah, the cross training is also the thinking. There's so many aspects to every sport. Now the bar's been raised. I mean, we got some amazing young athletes. So you really got to be very, very well rounded. Where we're talking about these 4 S's here at some point, where we're talking about, skill skating, smart, speed, the things that are needed in this game of hockey. But in all sports, you need to be well rounded there too. You got to be able to think. We want great athletes playing hockey. So, at some point you do need to touch on those other things, and you learn so much more from your friends and other sports, other coaches along the way, that you can then take to.
Right. And I think that goes to the unstructured play a little bit, where we talk about smarts. Angles in hockey is huge, I think. Knowing where the puck is going to go. I mean, if the puck goes a certain area, you know where it's going to end up, right? But to have that hockey brain, they call it hockey IQ, the smarts, where does that rank on your list as far as a complete player? You can have a very skilled skater put a puck on a stick. Maybe he's not the greatest puck handler, but you get a kid who can skate and handle the puck, but he's all over the ice. He just doesn't have that hockey IQ. Hockey IQ is big. That's smart. How do you learn that? How do you teach that?
I think I always thought that hockey smarts was this, kind of plays you're making. What play did you make? When did you make it? Always thought of it more of a offensive skill, and more and more, especially as the game has gotten so much better, quicker. The smarts is those angles, those you need speed. But when are you using your speed? I think there was a time there, maybe it was in my era, where try to get faster, do everything faster. Well, yes and no. It's as simple as telling some of the kids, if you skate down the ice as fast as you can with the puck, you might end up with a 1-on-2 or a 1-on-3. So you might want to bring a couple of your players with you.
Right.
So the smarts of when to turn that on and off. And so I think that's still the most important. So how can you put kids as they develop, especially like during the season too, association hockey here, small games, the ability to just kind of play and force errors, mistakes to happen. You drop a puck in hockey and everything you wrote on the drawing board goes out the window because something changes there. So you got to go through, you got to make mistakes. You got to take an angle, go really fast and get beat to realize, well, that didn't make a whole lot of sense. I got to take a different angle next time. Yeah, I got in there really fast, but that didn't help us. So, that's where I think if that's the 4 S's we're going to talk through, skill, skating, smarts, and speed. The smarts is by far the most important and hard to teach.
Yeah. Does that set the good from the great, the average to the good to the great? Is that the smarts? I mean, we know. I mean, you could probably combine test a ton of kids or guys, players who maybe are as fast as a McDavid, maybe not that level, but pretty fast. straight line, just fast skaters. But then again, you put a puck on their stick, and now they're not really a good hockey player. There's guys who can handle the puck. They just don't have the speed. And like I said, there's guys who can do it all, but they don't have the smarts. So a complete player, and we have an article in the new edition of Let's Play Hockey. It'll be in the arenas this week from T R Holler. He's a regional scout about the 4 S's that matter to scouts: skill, skating, smarts, and speed. One thing he did not mention is size. And, we saw the NHL draft where we saw a lot of, I think most of the defensemen that went, were in that 6'3" to 6'5" range. So I think in the D zone, size matters. Maybe not so much offensively. What's your take on that?
Yeah, size matters because if you're talking about these other 4, S's, adding some size to that, reach, length of stick, length of stride, all of a sudden it does matter a bit. You got to find a way to get, in front of the net. That's not easy to do anymore at any level. And the bigger the guys are, the harder it is to get the puck in there from the blue line too. Not just plays, but so the smarts. I think we saw it in the NHL playoffs again. We see it probably every year, but more and more we're seeing how smarts is defending against the greatest players in the world. We get to the end and fatigue crept in, but McDavid and Draisaitl, even the ability to shut down some of these other amazing players. I'm thinking of, even thinking of, the Avalanche with McKinnon. Like, how do you shut those players down when they're that fast? That great of skaters' skills. I mean, they already know what they're trying to do before you can defend against it. So it's the smarts of the players that can put themselves in a position to get in the way or to defend well and then counterattack with enough skill skating to cause you problems. So I think that's where that smarts is, and why, again, it's maybe even more a defensive mentality. I think I watch McKinnon, he'll jump on the ice, and if he doesn't see the flow of the shift, he'll get off because he's only got X amount of energy, and if he just knows it's not going to happen. I mean, that's from a defensive. I never thought that way. You jump on the ice, and if nothing happened, it's like, oh, no, I got to stay out here longer to make sure something does happen.
Right.
And he's thinking the reverse. Probably needs to do that because, our hometown team here, the Wild, we got some really smart players that just know where to go, and they can defend then against these best players in the world. That's all the smarts because they got the skill, the skating. A couple of the guys have some size. That matters.
It does, yeah. Talk a little bit another S, systems. Really, you can coach against, like you talked, against a McKinnon and really shut them down. But from a hockey standpoint, we talked earlier about, 2-to-1 hockey games. They're not the most entertaining. But the neutral zone trap, you're having 5 guys skating backwards, trying to get the puck through 4 defenders from the point on a power play. Basically, the way hockey has developed these systems is to defend and kind of hope you get a break, and hope when you get the puck on your stick, you're going to go, but then they do the same thing. It's become more of a defensive tactical game, I think. And I think that hurts the creativity. You and I grew up watching Gretzky, and, he'd come across the blue line and he would just kind of circle around. Players can't do that anymore, No, the systems is, maybe getting in the way. Is that the best way to describe it? I'm thinking of these young players. Take up space, that's a coaching term.
Yeah.
Take up space.
Yeah.
Create space. You're trying to create space with the puck. Take up space,
Yeah, and I love more scoring. So I think of, Jack Hughes and Bedard and some of the smaller maybe players, and say, how do we get them to be scoring more? How do we get them in more positions to make this game as thrilling as it is on the ice, also when you're watching or listening. So those systems, though, they get in the way, and it's that defensive smarts. A lot of these guys have the skill skating, to go against most lines in the NHL, let's say. But you got to be smart enough to know when you jump on the ice and you're up against a McKinnon's line or McDavid. Now do you have the smarts to just use this kind of skill right now? I think we're going to be just a little bit more defensive because of what can happen.
Right.
And pushing that so much to be successful. It's going to take its toll on the creativity part.
Yeah.
You know, because you take a chance and they go down and score the other way. I mean, the flow of the game changes so quickly.
Right. We talked a little bit last night. I had a conversation with some other people about the flow of the game and the defensive side of the game and not enough offense. How is that? How do we change that? I mean, can it be changed? I mean, is there a rule out there where, you could change? I mean, they make rules in football. They make rules in basketball where you can't do certain things.
Yeah, I've thought the one option might be making the net a little bit bigger. I can hear all the goalies being really upset about that. But this idea that because right now the game there's some good flow out there. We're getting some decent scores. I don't know if there's some hockey purists that would say, do we just want all run and gun? And at some point, someone's going to be smart enough to put a system together to say, well, we'd rather win than put up 8 goals. But just conceptually, and I think this goes to the whole idea behind the Olympic-sized rink. Bigger rink is going to allow for more offense, more flow, a more exciting game. And that really didn't happen because I believe teams just backed up and said, well, we're not going to go chase the puck, create space, and cause ourselves problems. So they just backed it in. I think that's still happening right now. I mean, I'm amazed watching a guy like a Faber walk the blue line and trying to figure out how to get the puck through, 8 players stand in front of the net. So nobody has to come out because they know he can't get the puck through. If he can see a little bit more of the net, people got to come out because Faber starts scoring more goals from the blue line.
Right.
So just a, I don't know, inch on all sides. I mean, something to think about, which it will just force, again, the defensive side to open up. I don't know, goal here, goal there, because the game is fantastic. But yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more Jack Hughes or, the Hobie Baker was last week and Macklin Celebrini. I mean, here's the 17-year-old. Like, we want that player to flourish, I think.
Right.
We'll all get better because of it. So then maybe it's summer hockey, seasonal hockey, where you are just making sure everybody's getting a chance to play multiple positions, be creative, not so focused on the wins. Hard to do. I know it's hard to do, especially when the kids are younger and you are looking for some success, but give them a chance to take those skills and be defensive somewhere down the road.
Right.
It's easy to teach defense. So super hard to teach offense,
Yeah. No, I agree. I think summer hockey is a good opportunity for kids to learn that creativity aspect because once you get into the team, your association team, they're going to have a system, and it's a lot of it's lane hockey and, you got your job to do and forecheck and backcheck and stay in your lane and cover your guy and whatnot. So summer hockey, I think, is very important for kids to play and really kind of take that creativity to another level. You get the puck on your stick. What are you gonna do with it? I think that's the biggest benefit. Let's talk a little bit about off ice training. What did you do when you were young off the ice that helped you get better?
Yeah, I think it was mostly the cross training. Box jumps, maybe some running. We didn't have the off ice like they do today. It was go take a break, play some golf, go to the beach. So the players today have much more of an opportunity to take their game to another level quite quickly. That's why I kind of said that you're never too far out of it or too far behind. You got to have some natural ability. You do, as an athlete, but you could quickly turn a corner, I think, with skating and off-ice training, whether it be weights, running, jumping, just agility in general. I mean, there's some great programs out there, some great coaches and trainers. So it seems there's to be, all my boys went through and had both on-ice, off-ice training. So, that those programs are there, and I think they're helpful. I still think the on ice is the most important in that ability, because you gotta be a good skater, and you got to put yourself into those situations. Not necessarily the speed part, but the skating. So I don't know. There's probably an argument to be said too that maybe just an off ice program all summer could get you, a step above too.
Sure.
But if you love hockey, you want to be on the ice, don't you?
I would think. One more point here. Speed. Can it be taught? Or is it a learned? Or is it a nature or a nurture thing?
I'm not sure where I fall on that. Naturally talented in that area, great stride. But I saw some players, almost create a new stride. Do you mentally have to be at an age maybe to think through that and understand, as you're working with a skating coach, though? Because typically, you put people on skates and it's like, well, just start kind of walking, running, and you figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But that stride, there's efficiencies there. And I think there's, a profile behind each player too. What's your natural ability or profile? So training to that instead of trying to, change somebody's stride. No one would have known what my stride was or yours, I'm guessing. Or a skating coach might have said, this is the one way and only way. But, there's a profile behind each player, and they all skate just a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could put them in some categories. But, yeah, I don't know. I would never say you can't teach something different, but you just need buy-in from the player. I think that might be hard to do at some of the younger ages.
Yeah. I think it's it's one thing that I lacked as a player, speed. You had speed. I did not. I was more of a hands guy. Hands you can work on in the garage, right? Tennis ball, playing with it. Speed, you gotta have the knives on your feet. You got to get out there and you got to skate. But I think there are also some dry land stuff, muscle development. That's obviously going to help you, especially in this article that T R Holler wrote. He talks about McDavid straight line speed. It's great. A lot of people have that, but can you shift? Can you move? Can you, turn your hips? In those tight areas, that's really where skating becomes more important. Your ability to be fast in those little small areas. So it's not just, they do the lap in the NHL All-Star game, fastest skater. That's great, but when you're in the corner and you need, 3 quick bursts to get to the puck, who's the fastest then, right? That's important. So the short burst, he talks about that in the article. Make sure you pick up a copy of Let's Play Hockey at your local arena. They'll be out this week. It's a great article by T R Holler, an insider's opinion on what scouts look for in players. The 4 S's that matter: skill, skating, smarts, and speed. He's got some great insight there for hockey parents and players who are looking to maybe get that edge. I think a lot of players are looking to make a team here coming up in the fall, with tryouts looming. That was always a nervous time, for me as a player and as a parent, to have my kids go through it. Everybody wants to make the A team, right? But a message to parents also, if your kid does not make the A team, making the B team is not a bad thing. And sometimes it's a better thing, to be on that B team. You're going to get more ice time, maybe on the power play, maybe on the penalty kill. You're going to touch the puck more. From a development standpoint, I think being a B player is can be beneficial. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I'd say if you think about these 4 S's that we just talked about, it's not everything. So, as a parent and thinking about your player, you just talked about, the smarts or the speed of a McDavid. Let's talk about deception. How can you use your skills and confuse the other team? A lot of that is what hockey is too. You're tricking them on a 2-on-1 or a 2-on-2 or whatever that is. So there's many attributes you're looking for as a coach, and then there's desire. Who wants it more? That matters, because hockey is a game of mistakes. I've often said to my teams that coached about 15 years at the youth level, and you drop the puck and 10 mistakes happen. Instantly, 10 mistakes happen. No matter who makes a good play, it's a game of mistakes. So you got to be really good at just I went in and made a play and made a mistake, and you come back to the bench and sorry coach, sorry about what? Just keep going. But that's what makes our game so hard. Is that you always have to be thinking and adjusting. And so when for parents, skill, skating, smart, speed, there's a lot more on top of that, and it really does matter at what age that where you're developing, which team you're on. Yeah, A team versus B team. I truly believe it is not best to play with better players all the time. You need to be at a position where you can be successful and make those plays. So to go and play with two great players on the A team, but never touch the puck, and to sit on the back door and tap in pucks and score 50 goals would not be good for you. You got to be able to make the plays, see the game, adjust, and keep up. If not, I think there is a big piece of this game that is intimidation that we don't see in our players, where they're a little nervous or a little scared because they aren't good enough to play on the A team. That's okay. Let's put you in a position where you can be comfortable, confident. Confidence is huge, and that ability to have the courage then to go play. So really important as we get into the season again. We're all nervous all the time as parents. So are the players. We want them at the level they're at. Make that team get out there and find a way to get better on that team, and really can be a deterrent and detrimental to their development if they're on the wrong team. Too highly skilled. Let's just get them to fit in, and then that desire will continue through, and they'll train harder in the summer too.
Exactly. Yeah, being on the B team is not a bad thing. Being the ninth forward or the 6D on the A team, or being the top forward or the top D on the B team. What spot would you rather be in? I'd take the B team, I think. So, with tryouts looming, maybe that's something to keep in mind for parents. We are going to wrap it up here with our first pod of the season. Appreciate, Brian, you being here. It'll be the two Brians here from here on out. Again, this podcast is sponsored by Northern Lids. Check them out, patch style hats. They will take care of your association. They can do custom colors. We order through them through Let's Play Hockey. They do a great job. Talk to Nick. He's a good man. He does a good job. Good quality hats. You will not be disappointed. www.northernlids.com. And we are in the Cub Content Studios. And thanks again to Pull Tab Sports. And thanks, Brian. And we will have a new pod here coming up hopefully in a couple weeks. So stay tuned. Thank you.
So let's play hockey.